Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 13th, 2025 meeting of the Abington Board of School Directors. I note the attendance of all board members. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Abington Board of School Directors has convened this evening's meeting at the Administration Building, and the public is welcome. This meeting is being broadcast live on the Abington School District YouTube channel. This meeting is also being recorded and will be accessible on the district's website and cable channel no later than Friday, May 16th, 2025, to allow those members of the public who cannot participate to view the meeting at a later time. Comments from citizens will be conducted in person and by phone. Information regarding participating remotely in public comment will be displayed on the screen at the time of public comment. The board thanks the public in advance for its cooperation. This is a place where we hold dignity in high regard, and everyone's voice is respected and welcomed in this space. Dr. Fetcher, do we have any additional announcements or agenda items?
No, we don't.
Okay. With that, we will move to opening comments of board members. Mr. Allen.
Good evening, everyone.
Mrs. Brown.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Ms. Eisenhardt.
Good evening.
Mr. Mohammed.
Good evening.
Ms. Spalding.
Hello, everybody.
Ms. Hartman.
Welcome, everyone.
Ms. Fraser. Ms. Fazy.
Good evening, everyone.
Ms. Wu.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone once again. Dr. Fetcher, can you please proceed with our student council representatives?
Yes, Dr. Mowry. This time I'm going to ask Bryson Edmonds from Abington Senior High School to come forward.
Good evening, Dr. Mowry, Dr. Fetcher, and the members of the Board of School Directors. My name is Bryson Edmonds, and I am the Student Council President at Abington Senior High School. Braden Davis is our Excellence in Athletics recipient for the month of April. Braden is an integral part of the spring track and field team where his teammates look to him for guidance and leadership. Braden is energetic in regards to both academic and athletic activities. His strong academic determination has shown throughout high school, and especially his senior year, where he has achieved an acknowledgement on the honor roll each of the first 3 marking periods. Today, the Student Council had a fundraiser at Humpty's Dumplings in Glenside. The funds raised from this event will be used to support community outreach activities. This month, Student Council will be putting together care packages for the children at the Ronald McDonald House. The Abington Senior High School girls flag football team qualify as the #1 seed in the District 1 playoffs. The girl flag football team will travel to Central Bucks South to play against Central Bucks East. The Abington Senior High School boys volleyball team qualifies the #12 seed in the District 1 playoffs. The volleyball team will travel to North Penn. The Abington Senior High School boys and girls track teams have both been earning various medals, including multiple first, second, and third places in various track and field events. The Abington Senior High School indoor units travel to Perkiomen Valley High School for the Tournament Indoor Association Region 3 Championships. All the groups won their respective championships. The indoor percussion unit won the Region A championship, and the 2 high school guards won the Regional A and A class championships. The choir and orchestra participated at Lebanon Valley College in a choral school competition through Music in the Parks. The Abington Senior High School choirs competed against 4 other schools from Pennsylvania and Maryland, as well as 8 middle schools, and the concert choir received a superior rating and received first place in the mixed high school choir AA Division I category. And the chorale received a superior rating and first place in the mixed high school AA Division II category, with also receiving Best Overall Choir Award out of 14 total choirs. The Abington Senior High School indoor guards, indoor percussion, and Abington Senior High School jazz band participated in the Tournament Indoor Association's Atlantic Coast Championships in Wildwood, New Jersey. The indoor percussion finished in second place in a Scholastic Region A division, and the jazz band earned a superior rating with a score of 90.33 and finished in fourth in the Scholastic Open Class division. The Abington Senior High School Art Department is proud to announce the recipients of the Mordecai Anuitz Creative Arts Competition Award at Gratz College. Ninth grader Bridget Kaur won first place for the ninth grade 2D art, and 11th grader Alistair Fang won honorable mention for the 11th grade 2D art. Grayson Stewart, an Abington Senior High School senior, is the April 2025 Student of the Month at Eastern Center for Arts and Technology in Willow Grove. Grayson is being recognized for his outstanding work in Easton's design, photography, and illustration program. The Abington Senior High School chess team competed at the United States Chess Federation's Super Nationals 8 this weekend in Orlando, Florida. At the event, Abington placed second in 2 divisions and had 7 players receive commendations for their play. Players included in the U1600 division include Eagle-Eye Kleiman, Noah Hillersier, Gregory Rudnitsky, and George Shefsik. George placed second in a field of 34 teams from around the country. Eli was 19th overall in this division as an individual, while Noah placed 21st and Greg 25th. In the U1200 division, Tristan Lundy, Sophie Iborra, Vincent Foley, and Ching Chen placed second in their division of 46 teams. As individuals, Lundy placed 10th, Iborra 20th, and Foley 22nd. Jacob Chen competed as an individual in the U1900 division. His score placed him 6th in this entire division. Chen finishes his Abington chess career as the second highest player in team history. Matt Chen, Kareem Tricky, and Blaze Wydjernit also competed for Abington. As we are approaching the end of the year, this is a good chance for reflection. Reflecting on all things we have done and looking forward to how our decisions now can affect years in the future. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Bryson. Now from Abington Middle School, Jessica Jaglow.
Bryson, don't go anywhere. I have a question for you after this.
Good evening, Dr. Murray, Dr. Fetcher, and members of the Board of School Directors. I am Jessica Jaglow, and I am on the Executive Board of the Student Council for Abington Middle School. While Abington Middle School Vibe and Imagine program looks forward to our leaders attending the DVCEE Leadership Conference on Tuesday, May 20, 2025, hosted right here at the Abington Senior High School. We will host our final meeting of the year on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025, and Dr. Pierce looks forward to returning the next year with fresh ideas and new ways of engaging our leaders and school community. Students who attended the Crochet and Knitting Club enjoy sharing their projects with one another and teaching each other new stitches and techniques. Recently, the club donated more squares to Project Chemo Crochet, which is an organization that makes blankets from donated squares for people undergoing chemotherapy. The GSA continues to advocate for the LGBTQ+ community. The group has created resources to help students find safe spaces, and they are currently working on school-wide ways to celebrate Pride Month in June. TATA held 2 events in April. The first was the unique board game event on April 11th. Congratulations to the Green Team, captained by 8th graders Colin Flood and Brooke Mencello, on their victory over the Blue and Red Team. Secondly, we held our annual extravaganza event on April 25th. In addition to carnival games, bingo, a DJ, face painting, cornhole, and fabulous prizes given away at the extravaganza event. We also held 2 tournaments. Congratulations to Milton Alex, Liam Deck, James Myers, and Bill Nardun for winning the 3v3 basketball tournament, and to Lauren Bistine, Christine Canyon, Avery Fitzgerald, Chelsea Keenan, and Victoria Keenan for their triumph in the Family Feud tournament. We are currently planning our annual big end-of-year event, Tata Games, starting in late May. In April, the Builders Club packed 55 duffel bags filled with supplies and gifts for children and teens in foster care. The AMS parents, students, teachers, and staff members donated hundreds of books, school supplies, toys, games, blankets, and personal hygiene products, which filled the bags with lots of extras we donated too. In May, students went outside and filled the sidewalks and pathways with chalk messages of thanks and appreciation to AMS teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. Our spring sports will be concluding later this month. We are grateful to our coaches, many of whom are teachers, for their support throughout the spring season. As usual, we have had many student athletes participate on the many sports team. Students from our WEB, Where Everyone Belongs club, took part in various activities to recognize our awesome teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Good job.
Bryson, did you decide where you're headed? Yeah? Okay. You don't have to say it out loud if you don't want to. Okay. All right. Thank you both for those reports. Great to hear everything that our students are doing. Dr. Fetcher, please proceed with this evening's honors.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. I'm going to ask Dr. Alice Swift, principal of Abington Senior High School, to introduce Grayson Stewart, who's the April 2025 Student of the Month at Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. And while they're walking up there, I would like to say that fortunate to be on the board meeting at Eastern when Grayson was honored, and just really fabulous story of what brought you to this point. So I'm proud to see you here tonight.
Good evening, Dr. Mowry, Dr. Fetcher, and members of our board of directors, and to all the constituents in the audience. So I have our scholar, Grayson Stewart, standing next to me. Bryson already mentioned what has occurred, but in the month of April, Grayson was and has been acknowledged as the Student of the Month at Eastern Center for Arts and Technology in Willow Grove. He's being recognized for his outstanding work in Eastern's design, photography, and illustration program. And I would like to tell his story. Okay, when Grayson first learned about the program at Eastern, he was excited by the opportunity to explore how the career pathway in art could help him develop valuable professional skills. He appreciates being able to do something he loves and excels at every day. At Eastern's award night in May of 2024, Grayson was honored with the Outstanding Junior Year Sketchbook Award and the Straight A Award. As an active member of Eastern Student Leadership Organization, or Skills USA, he achieved first place in the District 2 Action Skills Competition in February of 2024 and earned third place at the Pennsylvania State Competition in April of 2024. For this competition, Grayson demonstrated the different shading techniques commonly used in illustration. And in February of 2025, Grayson often and once again received first place in the Skills USA District 2 competition, but this time it was for t-shirt design. And through his design, photography, and illustration program, Grayson obtained an industry standard certificate in the Adobe InDesign. And here at Abington Senior High School, Grayson is an active member of our National Honor Society, the boys lacrosse team, the Friends Against Alcohol and Drugs, and the Alternative Sports Club outside of school. He works part-time at the Be Well Bakery in the cafe in Huntington Valley, where he serves as a server, food preparer, smoothie preparer, and kitchen assistant. And he volunteers at the Forgotten Cats in Willow Grove and is a certified American Red Cross lifeguard with CPR and AED certification. Grayson brings a positive, encouraging energy to the classroom, said Nicole Abruzzi, Eastern's design, photography, and illustration instructor, and he is always ready with a kind word for a classmate and is consistently willing to lend a hand. And after graduating from Eastern and from Abington Senior High School, Grayson is committed to attending Susquehanna University, where he will pursue a degree in graphic design and play lacrosse. And during college, he hopes to secure an internship with the Outdoor Sporting Goods Company. I and we are extremely proud of you, Grayson, for all that you do. Your parents are here. I'd like to honor them. If you could please stand up. Thank you for such a wonderful young man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Barry, can you join us? I'd love to. Picture. Okay. Wait for her. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Strong handshake, too. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like Ms. Ali Artur, Communications Coordinator, to share a video highlighting recent media coverage of Abington School District.
Good evening, Dr. Fetcher, Dr. Mowry, and members of the Board of School Directors. Abington Senior High School observed Holocaust Remembrance Day by opening an art installation in partnership with the Holocaust Awareness Museum and Education Center, which was also curated by teachers of the Holocaust, Genocide, and Crimes Against Humanities course. Social studies classes have been visiting the exhibit over the past few weeks to learn about the events that inspired the artworks. Both NBC 10 and 6ABC Action News covered the exhibit's opening, and I'm happy to share the 6ABC news clip with you this evening.
A pop-up art installation is paying tribute to the millions of lives lost in the tragedy that was the Holocaust. This display was curated by social studies teachers at Abington Senior High School, timed to coincide with Holocaust Remembrance Day, which began at sundown last night. Now, among the items on display here, 5 artworks about the Auschwitz experience, all created by Frank Root, the spouse of a survivor. Each piece also features a QR code so students can further explore that subject.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Artur.
Okay. Dr. Fetcher, would you please proceed with this?
Fi is a free online financial education resource that uses interactive game-based learning to expose students to real-life financial situations to help them make smart decisions. UFly, which is the UFLI, they say UFly Foundations, from the University of Florida, is a step-by-step reading program for primary grades designed to build essential reading skills and support struggling readers. The UFly program would be used as an intervention tool with students in the primary grades in small group instruction. Moving on to secondary, High School Personal Finance from NextGen Personal Finance is a free standards-aligned resource, including units on budgeting, investing, credit management, and paying for college. This resource is recommended for the new personal finance course that is going to be required in 10th grade starting next year. Financial Algebra, also from NextGen Personal Finance, combines financial literacy with math concepts through real-world applications. Topics include units like saving with systems of equations, investing with exponential functions, and credit with statistics and probability. And this resource is recommended for the new financial algebra course that would be an option for students after geometry. We are recommending 2 programs to support the reading courses that we implemented this year in grades 6 through 10. First is Achieve 3000 Literacy. This is an online program that supports reading comprehension through nonfiction texts and instruction in phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, and writing. And this resource would allow us to expand the students that we're working with to really target the needs of more students. And also we're looking to expand our use of the Starry series. This was a series we adopted last year that has high interest texts, and the literature is an intervention tool that is to work with students reading below grade level to build fluency, decoding, and comprehension skills. And so that is just to expand that to incorporate more texts. Freedom on My Mind is the recommended text for the new African American Studies course. This book was selected from a series that were reviewed, and it offers a comprehensive primary source-based approach to African American history aligned with AP standards, that AP is College Board, and supports critical thinking and writing skills. And for those who aren't familiar with the primary source-based approach, that is the concept in social studies that you're using the original documents. So it actually, the book is infused with all different documents from history over time, and those can be images and text-based documents that they look at. In special education, for our students with an IEP, we're recommending expanding the products from Attainment Company. Attainment Company provides standard-based, research-backed supplemental programs for students with disabilities, especially those with intellectual disabilities. The resources include blended learning curricula for academics, life skills, transition planning, functional math and reading, and all the materials are adaptable to individual student needs. And finally, we are recommending that we renew the subscriptions that you see on the screen. These are resources that we currently use that we would like to continue to use next year. They support literacy across multiple subjects by providing engaging, standards-aligned content that builds reading, writing, critical thinking, and media literacy skills for a wide range of learners. And that concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Questions from the board? No? Okay. I would just like to say that I'm very excited to see primary sources being integrated into the AP African American Studies class. That's all.
And I'll share that I'm excited that we had enough students to enroll that we are going to be running 2 sections of that, it looks like, next year. So
excellent.
that's a great start for a new course. So, you know, when we knew that we had students that were interested, but that is a nice, strong start for that course. So that's exciting.
Excellent. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Ms. Wu? Nothing? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For our next orientation this evening, in agenda items numbers 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3, we are recommending the 2025-2026 proposed final general fund budget. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Vittoria and Mr. Lionetti to continue with this evening's presentation to review any changes.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. The proposed final general fund budget is based on staff input, estimated and actual local, state, and federal revenue, with an increase in real estate taxes to reflect the 4% Act 1 index, in which the millage rate increases from 37.07 mils to 38.55 mils. We are currently using the April assessment data from the county, and the county will provide us with the actual assessment in June of 2025. The other remaining local revenue are still forecasts. State revenue for basic education, special education, transportation, and block grants are budgeted using the information from Governor Shapiro's budget presentation. Property tax relief is being budgeted at actual PDE amounts. Federal revenue for title and access programs are being budgeted at 24-25 levels. On the expense side of the budget, salaries are being budgeted using collective bargaining agreements. There is one agreement that has yet to be finalized. Negotiated benefits are being budgeted at the CPAS second look. We have the percentages for mandated benefits, with PESers being 34% in the 25-26 school year. And departmental budgets are used to budget non-salary, non-benefits portion of the budget. This slide shows historical data from 2005, 2006 to the 24-25 school year. Beginning on the left, the slide shows the millage rate, the revenue and expenses. It also shows usage of fund balance and accumulated fund balance. The right column shows enrollment during this period. From 2005, 2006 through 2023-24, enrollment increased by almost 1,200 students. In the 23-24 school year to the 24-25 school year, enrollment has decreased by 204 students. Again, this slide shows historical data for the increase in the PESers rate on the school district's budget. In the 2009-2010 school year, the PESers contribution rate was 7.13%, which was $5.4 million of total expense. In the 25-26 school year, the PESers rate is going to be 34%, which is $34 million. This time, this expense has increased $28.5 million. As the slide shows, PESers projects the contribution rate to continue increasing, and in the 2029-30 school year, the expense will be $41.1 million. So the initial budget was presented at the March 11th meeting. At the time, the budget had $195.6 million of revenue, $205.5 million of expenses, and $9.8 million of allocated fund balance. Budget managers reviewed their budgets and were able to cut $617,000 from the expense line, bringing the expense to $204.9 million. This reduction came primarily from this reduction came primarily from instructional and non-instructional supply expense throughout the district. At the same time, revenue was reduced by $556,000 due to the decrease in assessed value. This brought revenue to $195.1 million and the allocated fund balance to $9.7 million. So this slide compares the 24-25 budget to the proposed final 25-26 budget. The proposed budget includes a 4% real estate tax increase, which is the maximum allowable increase for the 25-26 school year. Please recall that the administration recommended and the board approved a resolution in December that the district would not seek referendum exceptions, which would allow the district to increase taxes above the 4% index. The 4% tax millage rate increase raises the millage rate to 38.55 mils from 37.07 mils, generating an estimated $4.1 million compared to the 24-25 school year. This amount may change, this amount may change due to the change in assessed values until June of 2025. Local revenue has increased a total of $4.3 million, and that includes earned income taxes of an additional $192,000 and $525,000 of other local revenue, inclusive of real estate transfer tax, delinquent tax collection, earning on investments, and pass-through IDA funds. Local revenue has increased 3.11% budget year to budget year. State revenue reflects a 6.6% increase due to the increase in state funding from the governor's recommended increases for Abington School District in basic ed funding, special education funding, and PESER subsidy. Federal funds decreased $687,000 due to the end of the ESSER's funds. The subtotal revenue reflects $6.7 million of increased budget to budget, and the allocated fund balance at $9.7 million is a projected reduction of budget to budget reliance on allocated fund balance of $1.3 million. The expense increases $5.3 million or 2.68% to $24.9 million. Salaries increase $3.4 million or 3.54%. Negotiated benefits for things such as health insurance for district employees increases $677,000. Mandated benefits costs primarily the employer's contribution to staff Social Security and retirement. That increases $1.9 million or 4.73%. The non-salary, non-benefit portion of the expense budget decreases $661,000. So this slide shows an impact on a typical assessment of $141,130, increasing the millage to 38.55. The increase is $208.87. Because the Sterling Act tax credit is $39 more than the previous school year, the overall impact on this homeowner is $169.87. The bottom portion of this slide shows the impact on seniors at an assessment of $141,130. Seniors who qualify for the district rebate program and are in the first three income levels would not see a tax increase. Seniors in the bottom income level would see a tax increase of $17.87.
Mr. Vittori, if I can just jump in here. As we look forward to May 20th and the referendum, if the referendum were to pass on the 20th, there would be no impact on these millage rate or the amount of taxes that Abington and Rockledge residents would pay as we begin our design process if the referendum is successful. So again, there would be no impact, no additional impact on the taxpayers moving forward in the 25-26 school year. Thank you.
So this is showing an estimated 24-25 expense to the proposed 25-26 budget. We are estimating that the allocated fund balance needed in the 24-25 school year would be $5 million. This would end the 24-25 school year with $16.6 million in fund balance, which would carry forward to the beginning of the 25-26 school year. With the expenses and revenue in the 25-26 proposed general fund budget and the allocated fund balance use, the ending fund balance would be $6.8 million instead of the $694,000 presented on page 6 of this presentation. Looking ahead to the June 24th meeting, the board will be asked to adopt the 25-26 final general fund budget and adopt a resolution to implement homestead exclusions. Dr. Fetcher, that concludes our presentation, and we can answer any questions the board might have.
Thank you, Mr. Vittoria.
Questions for my board colleagues?
Yes, slide 5, where it mentions non-salary / non-benefit. Would that include ESS substitute services?
That would be the that would be the category where we capture that expense, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
There was a mention of a decrease in student population of about 204 students. 2 questions to that. 1, where are they going? And 2, does that translate into a decrease in staffing, or how is that handled?
So in terms of the decrease between last year and this year of about 200 students in the district, those we would look at our positions and start with positions that we would not fill through attrition. For example, we would look at our retirements throughout the district, and if that position that is vacant from a retirement did not need to be filled because of enrollment and a decrease in enrollment, we will not fill that.
And the first question around where they've gone, do we have any information on that?
I think you're looking at general enrollment trends and populations within in the community. So if you look at, for the example, the past 10 years or so, there's about 1,000 students difference. And that was part of our enrollment studies that we did, going back to the reason why we began the project at the high school, and looked at every elementary school that was reaching capacity during that enrollment time. So that trend continues, but we're seeing a slight dip at this time.
Okay, and so you said people retire and reductions are occurring through attrition. Does that then translate into savings in terms of the budget impact?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest driver of school district budget is employees and employee benefits. It's the largest portion of our budget. So when we are trying to control expenses, we have to examine every position, and it is across the board. So I can tell you that when we look at even administrative positions, when we have retirements, we examine whether or not we're going to refill that position or consolidate positions. We do the same with teaching positions and all of our major groups and associations across the district.
Thank you.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes, a few questions about the rebates for our senior citizens who qualify. I believe we started this about 3 or 4 years ago. Can you just speak to the numbers of people who signed up to take advantage of this?
Mr. Vittoria, do you have that information?
Yeah. So the first year we had 29 rebates. Last year we had 64 rebates, and we're currently at 66 rebates.
Okay. That's a nice jump from 29 to 64. My next question is, do we know how many senior citizens within the township qualify but have not signed up? Do we have any idea of that?
I don't have that information.
Okay. Is that something that's attainable?
I believe it's available on the Department of Revenue's website.
Okay. If the board does not mind, that is something that I'm interested in, just to make sure that our most vulnerable population who qualifies for this, that they're actually taking advantage of it. My next question has to do with the fund balance. And I know we shared there are some things that we can control as far as spending, but there are others that we can't. So just to quickly summarize, the things that we can't control, such as PSERS, and that makes up a high percentage of the money that we have to spend. There's also charter schools, which includes cyber charter and brick and mortar. And I believe we're up to 2.6 million, 2.3 million. Where are we with that?
We are approaching anywhere between the figures you're representing, 2.6 million, to perhaps as high as almost $3 million this year. And don't see a reason that that's going to decline into next year. So it's a very significant increase. Pre-COVID, we were at $1.5 million.
And that's something that we cannot control unless legislation. I know there's some talk on the table about capping cyber charter, especially when it comes to special education programs, because students are given the same amount regardless of whether they're receiving speech services or services that require a lot more in-depth attention. So I know those are some things that we can't control. So why is it important to bring those things up? Because spending is very important, and we want to know where our money is being spent and what are some things we can control, so we can continue to have dialogue about that. Attrition is one of those things that we're discussing now. And I just think that those are important things to bring up. Is there anything that I missed as far as things that we can't control that we want to keep our eye on, and then things that we can control so we can continue to cut down where it makes sense?
One of the other areas that we don't have much control over are insurance costs with regard to general liability. We're seeing about a $200,000 increase this year. While it's not a huge part of our budget, but it's another example of costs that, although we look at our insurance carriers competitively, the nature of general liability for land and facilities, given what's been occurring across the nation with regard to disasters, fires, floods, hurricanes, we are seeing an increase there as well.
And I know we've had some new hires, particularly the counselors that we hired pre-COVID. And I know that was a relatively bigger budget item considering paying for benefits and things of that nature. But those are the type of things that I stand by. My vote is still yes. Those counselors that we hired so that our elementary schools could have more support is a vote that I continue to stand by. So again, some of these things cost money and they are worth it. So thank you so much for reminding us of those things that we can control and then those things that we cannot when it comes to our budget.
Anyone else? Ms. Wu?
If I may.
Go ahead.
Could we go back to that slide with the PSERS contributions? PSERS stands for Pennsylvania State Employee Retirement System, and it speaks to the district expenses that we have to pay into retirees' pensions when they serve the district, serve the state, and then retire. And we see this number grow tremendously from 2000. If we just go to 2009, 2010, we were paying $5 million, $5.4 million. And when you look at 24, 25, $33 million. So about $28 million increase over 15 years. That $28 million accounts for almost 15% of our budget. It's 15% that we weren't spending 15 years ago. And it actually accounts for a substantial portion of the increase in our budget when you look at what we were spending in 2010, which was around $123 million, and what we're spending today, we're projecting $200 million. That's about a third of the increase just on state-mandated retirement contributions. And so to Ms. Brown's point, there are uncontrollable expenses that we are working very hard to work with and then address the things that we do have control over.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Mr. Lionetti, the PSERS contribution, that's included in the mandated benefits line, is that correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. Okay. Could we go back to that slide again, just quickly?
The slide with the mandated benefits?
Yes, this one. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments or questions? No? Okay. That brings us to, anything else, Dr. Fetcher?
That's all we have for orientations this evening.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure. That brings us to our first session of comments from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comments is 267-715-3717, is being displayed on the screen at this time. You'll be able to join the meeting by calling in on your mobile or landline phone. A citizen will be recognized once during this period of the meeting, and each citizen's comments will be limited to a total of 3 minutes, except at the discretion of the president. Time may not be yielded or otherwise transferred by one speaker to another for purposes of extending a given speaker's time allotment. So we'll start with folks in the room. If there's anyone who would like to make a comment, you may use the microphones either to your left or to your right. Please state your name and address.
Yes, Bob Jesnowski, 927 Irvin Road. With this increase that we just had tonight and the upcoming referendum, since the 2021 to 22, it looks like it's coming up to 33.23% over this time period. And I noticed that to make the budget work every year, we're up near the state mandated limit. So whatever the state says that you can charge, that's what you have to do to try to make the budget work. How will this be affected as the inflation rate drops and we get a lower inflation or index rate for next year? How will the budget be able to accommodate that? And also with the increased amount of debt services with the new middle school. The other thing I had a question on was the SPS fire cost. Is this had any impact on the budget, and has that been calculated with the loss of jobs and revenue and everything else for the SPS? And also about the drop of students. It's my understanding that this year we had like almost 200 students that were found to not be part of the district and that were removed or paying or some other accommodations being happened on that. Is that a number that is true? And if, are we going to continue to do that this following school year to go and make sure that we're only paying to educate Abington students?
Does that conclude your comments?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you for your voice.
No answer? Okay.
Anyone else?
Yes, he's already.
I'm Muley Murphy. I'm in the 11th grade. Can you help me, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good evening. I'm Muley Murphy, 11th grade, and the president of the GSA at the senior high.
I'm sorry, can you state your address as well, please?
818 Crossix Road.
Okay, thank you.
We recently received confirmation that the book, The Rainbow Parade, was challenged and then removed from the McKinley School Elementary Library. This was not made public or announced on any school website or parent newsletter. The quiet removal of books is something that is deeply concerning for me and for other students because we are the ones who are most directly affected by this. Are there any other books that have been removed? How would a student know? If the school district quietly removes books without telling the students, then the students who need these books the most don't have access to them. The adults appear to control the flow of information. Where is our voice? As students, we are the stakeholders of these libraries. When the Rainbow Parade was removed, no students' input was considered. Isn't the founding principle of America the right to self-determination and free speech? As such, students who are affected by governance should have a voice. As students of this district, it is integral that we are a part of the book removal process. Though the Rainbow Parade harbors controversy, who determines the line between censorship and freedom of information? I am not here to challenge the removal of the Rainbow Parade. I am here to challenge the process in which it was removed. The superintendent's administrative procedure for handling challenged materials consists of only adult representation. The concern I have is that adults controlling the flow of information will result in a smaller body of literature that is accessible to students. At McKinley, we were taught that books could be a window or a mirror. This means that you learn about others' experiences and reflect on your own through books. For a child to develop into a healthy teenager, then a healthy American adult, they need books that are mirrors. To continue a united country, we need books that serve as windows and mirrors for every American. We, the people, the students, need to be involved in the book removal process. Self-governance is crucial for Americans. To avoid unnecessary bias and self-interest in government, fair and equal representation ensures that all American rights are protected. Including the students in the book removal process upholds these American values. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice.
Hello, I am Marayla Odner. I live at 203 Edge Hill Road, and I am also a member of the Abington Senior High School GSA. At the beginning of my elementary school years, I attended a private school. Like any other school, this school had a library. Like all too many schools, this school required a parent permission form to check out any book that briefly featured any queer representation. That, I learned after moving to Abington and as I got older, happened under the idea that being queer is a choice or something wrong that happens because of exposure to the idea. However, the American Psychological Association recognizes queerness as a natural variation of human sexual orientation. Being queer is not a choice or a wrong. At a public school, it is important to give children the tools they need to thrive and grow, not just as people, but into themselves. This is the key idea that marks the importance of diverse children's literature as a whole, or in this case, queer children's literature, which brings us to the recent ban of Emily Nelson's book, The Rainbow Parade. Before taking a look at the process in which the book was banned, I would first like to make clear that neither I nor the GSA are arguing to reverse the ban, but instead looking at what the ban has the strong possibility to lead to and how we suggest to counter that. By banning a queer book and not making it public to the community, whether for nudity or other reasons, it opens the way for more queer books to be banned. The future rights of today's queer children are at risk in the modern day, as shown by statements made by the current president, such as, "We will get critical race theory and transgender insanity, the blank, a word inappropriate for a school board meeting, out of our schools," which was stated on January 19th at his rally in Washington, the day before his inauguration. Similar to sexual orientation, transgenderism is also natural, with many studies pointing towards the idea that it is due to biology, as also supported by the American Psychological Association, and not external factors. While any queer book can be banned for something deemed inappropriate for children, it is important to keep in mind that queer books are not inappropriate for being queer. But as the government moves towards an administration that believes otherwise, it means that queer books are thus, as aforementioned, at risk for bans disguised as other reasons simply because of outright homophobia. Finally, this leads to our suggestion. We, as the GSA, ask that as the risk for queer book bans increases, students be incorporated into the book ban review proceedings so that it is even more assured that there is no negative impact on queer children and no bans on the queer community simply because they are queer. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice.
I'm Finn Rowe. My address is 2932 Jenkintown Road. I am also a part of the GSA. The GSA and I are here to discuss concerns regarding potential discrimination or restriction regarding LGBTQ and other minorities in the student body. It is important to the population of the students in our district, no matter a student or an adult stand on political or social works, to provide a framework for the understanding and inclusion for the student body. It has been brought to our attention that the ban regarding the book The Rainbow Parade by Emily Nelson, a majority of our representatives as an LGBTQ+ community understand this ban, which is why we are not challenging it or its directive. Our concerns more lie in the doors that this can open to the idea if the idea of banning books is entertained. It is well known that there are groups targeting minorities, especially LGBTQ+ individuals. It is also well known that there is a history of hateful groups banning books to limit the knowledge of certain topics. Our fear is that this will escalate into a situation that prohibits inclusion. Something like this wouldn't just affect the LGBTQ community, but it also opens doors to minorities being discriminated upon. What we ask is for preventative measures to be taken so that these doors to discrimination stay as closed as possible. When discussing these preventative measures, our main idea was that student representations or opinions from group or communities related to the topic are brought into consideration during the banning. We feel that it is important when considering these bannings, we bring the opinions of not only the adults, but the student body as well. We hope you consider our suggestions.
Thank you for your voice.
Hello, my name is Michelle Bonnet. My address is 2817 Mount Vernon Avenue, and I'm here to talk about the talk of the referendum regarding the middle school. Good evening, teachers, parents, and other faculty members. I'm here to speak with you all about the future of our very well-loved middle school and why it's so important that we do something about it for its future students. Very quickly, I would like to speak with the parents. I want you all to think about how many students are attending our middle school currently. I want you all to take a guess. Not too far off. Well, according to our district's page, 2,047 students attend this school, which in comparison, the high school has 2,693 students. And when you look at the building, there's a clear size difference, which takes me to my main point. The middle school is obviously pretty small, but I want to take a slightly deeper dive here. Take the middle school's hallways, for example. You know them, you love them, it's where we all travel to classes, and it's a great place to talk with your friends and or coworkers. However, there's just a small problem with them. The hallways are very small, especially considering over 2,000 students walk through them every single day. Trust me, it is not fun. And this may seem like a very small issue, but as a former student, I can say from experience that this is a bigger issue. And let's be real, it's bigger than the hallways. But this is why we need your vote. This middle school is very old, and it's so important that these future students have a better learning environment. They should not have to be shoulder to shoulder walking through halls or move to other rooms because their original room is boiling or is a freezer. And yes, this has happened before. They should be able to have a clean school that makes them feel safe and motivated to learn. That is why we need your yes. Your yes means that we are one step closer to making that hope a reality. Please think about their future, not their now. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Anyone else in the room?
Hello, my name is Eileen Denton. I live at 1978 Moreland Road. I'm not going to repeat anything that the students already said because they said it really eloquently and prepared. So I'm not going to try to restate anything because I agree 100%. Actually, what I came to say was I actually wanted to thank the concerned citizen who brought to our attention this book banning. Because what I did when I learned about it was I was really concerned if there were any other books on this topic or the removal of this book meant children could not learn about pride. So I went to the catalog for the elementary schools and I searched some common terms that anyone would search if you were trying to find books on LGBTQ topics. And I found some interesting things. First of all, I found that my kids didn't attend McKinley, but that librarian there is clearly amazing. If you don't know that, the elementary school librarians are the ones that choose the books, read all the research, and decide what the students need. They have 45 titles that represent LGBTQ students and families. Then we get to Highland. It also is an excellent library for these students and their families, but a little bit less. They have 29 titles that reflect LGBTQ families and students. And then we do a really big drop off to Rydell that has 12. Then we drop even more to Willow Hill, which has 7. Then we drop even more to Copper Beach, which has 4 titles about LGBTQ people. Then Roslyn has 5, and Overlook, my kid's school, has 3. That's it. And I know the students mentioned the whole idea of mirrors and windows and sliding doors. And I want you guys to think about the children in this district who come from families, LGBTQ families, and do they have the opportunity to find books that represent them, their families, and who they are and their experience? When you go to a library and you can't find one book that looks like your family or your experience, what does that say to you about who you are and who your family is? I would encourage the board administrators to allow the librarian at McKinley to offer some professional development to the other librarians. There are school librarians who have a master's in library science and did that training. But there are also some who, while they're very skilled, did not have that training. And a big part of that is collection development and learning how to create a collection of books that represents everyone. So I want to thank again the person that brought this to our attention because it's allowing us to hopefully remedy
Thank you for
a
your
difficult
voice. Your
situation.
time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi. My name is Ashley Bram Johnson, and I live near Rydell Elementary School, and I'm part of the community group Vote Yes to Invest in support of the middle school referendum. Being a part of the Vote Yes to Invest group has been life-changing, at least for my life in Abington. Before joining the committee, I was an Abington parent, yes, and I care deeply about investing in our schools and community, yes. But then I went to my first meeting, and my second, and my third, and before I knew it, I was all in with this amazing group of other Abington residents and parents. And over the past 3 months, I've just gotten to know more and more of them, some better than others, but knowing them and seeing their own enthusiasm and care for our district has only acted to bolster my own. And what makes them all extraordinary is that not only do they care, but they all care in different ways. I know some parents across multiple PTOs, others whose kids are affected daily by the challenges in the middle school, parent coaches who use the district's fields, parents with kids who love theater or who are in the high school robotics club. I could go on for a very long time. But what brings us all together is this shared love of our community, its kids, its teachers, and the whole package of the Abington district experience. This project is more than just a building. If this referendum passes next Tuesday, we will be able to build a whole new campus for the Abington community. Yes, with a modern, safe, secure, and accessible new school that can serve us for generations, but the $285 million bond will also get us brand new athletic fields, new parking lots, tennis courts, a new theater, new roads to facilitate easier navigation. And the district has said multiple times that an important part of the design process will continue to be feedback from the community. The price sounds large, but that's because not only does the budget include the whole new campus, but also the design process, management of this massive project, the demolition of the old school once the new one is built, completely new athletic fields, and an included buffer for construction inflation and contingencies for design change. This is a huge project, and I would argue the best investment our community could possibly make. If this referendum fails and the plan cannot move forward, it's also abundantly clear that the current building will eventually have to be replaced no matter what. If that does not happen now, not only will it continue to be a detractor to new families moving into our community, but the price for building a new school will only increase with time. I could go on and on and on about my experiences with this amazing grassroots group of volunteers, but I know that for weeks, you have also heard from them as well. Together on May 20th, let's all vote yes for a brighter future for all of Abington and Rockledge.
Thank you for your voice.
Hi, my name is Len Zangwell. I live at 621 Kelly Lane over in Glenside. And I want to pick up on the comments of the speaker before me and the student before her and a student the last time I was at the school board meeting commenting on the middle school. And basically, first, as far as the speaker before me, I'm also part of the Yes to Invest group. I think I'm thrilled there's a group like that in Abington. I'm thrilled I can do a little bit to help take a stand for public education. We all know what's happening in Washington in terms of the policies down there. It's very anti-public education. So if I can do a little bit, and this school board's doing an awful lot, take a stand for public education and a community resource for education, I think that's a wonderful thing. I hope this referendum passes on Tuesday. A big part of the reason why I support the referendum is I support a new middle school. And that speaks back to the comments of a couple speakers ago and last time, where the students talked about the facilities, in particular the hallways, particularly a lot of other very cramped spaces in that school. It reminds me of work. There's two campuses I can go to. One, I'll call it the nice campus, plenty of open spaces, plenty of light, plenty of places where we can congregate as teams to get more work done and just a better place to be physically and have bigger events and have more personal interaction. The other campus, I'll call it the not as fun campus. I'll call that campus B. Tight spaces, bad lighting, very cramped, no rooms, very few rooms to any capacities for any kind of really team building, anything like that. And I think of the new middle schools like that, as we are now basically, as far as I can tell, in a B campus, being it's cramped, there's heating, notable heating issues, other lack of space to really have a lot of creative endeavors, and I think probably a lot of educational things that cannot happen because the facilities don't allow for it. In the high school, with the new wing, a lot more things can happen now that couldn't happen 5-10 years ago. So I think it's really great that this plan is to build a whole new middle school. So I wanted to thank the board for stepping up to the plate, dealing with this issue now versus kicking the can down the road for another 10 years. and having lots of transparency. So anyone who wanted to learn about this had the chance to go on a website, go to a presentation, answer a survey, and just find out what's going on if they wanted to. So I think the transparency has been great. I look forward to more of it, and I'm looking forward to the referendum passing on Tuesday. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Next.
Carol Godfrey, 1021 Devon Road, and that's in Abington. Once again, I would like to encourage the community to vote yes on May 20th for the referendum to build a new middle school. People on social media have been having a heyday giving their opinions regarding the May 20th referendum. The school district has done an excellent job in keeping the community informed over the past several years as they went through the planning process for the need for a new middle school. ICS and the Schrader Group, two local consulting firms, were retained by the school district. These are the experts, not the many folks on social media who have been ranting and raving over the past several months and encouraging the no vote. Actually, I plan to support the opinion of the experts. I went on 2 tours of the building, attended many school board meetings that discussed at great length the need for a new middle school. I completed at least 2 surveys from the school district and listened to teachers and students' opinions. I feel I have done my due diligence in making an informed decision. I have heard some people ask why the middle school building can't be renovated as was done with the high school. The senior high design was and still is a more traditional school design at ground level, not like the middle school that sticks straight up in the air with interior classrooms and glass hallways on the outside of the building. The middle school is a curved building and the hallways are very hard to maneuver and monitor. The tight stairwells are very dangerous, and with over 2,000 students changing classes, the stairwells have always been a problem. The building layout is poor and outdated. We need an ADA compliant and safe middle school building. Our Abington students deserve better in this day and age. In closing, I'd like to encourage all residents to keep in mind that a new middle school will make Abington an even more desirable place to live and in turn raise our property values. A vote yes for the referendum is a vote for education, and yes, education matters. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. We'll do one more speaker in the room, and
Hello,
we have.
my name is Matt Palmer. I live on.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
One second. We're going to do one more speaker in the room, and then we have a few callers. I'm going to pivot to them after you're done.
Certainly.
Okay. Thank you.
So my name is Matt Palmer. I live on Carmet Road in Abington. And first, I want to commend all the youth for coming in here and talking in front of you all, because I'm 45 and I'm nervous. So I know it takes a lot of guts for them to come in here and say what they want to say. So thank you. Aside from that, talking about the middle school and the conditions there, it's already been mentioned. ADA accessibility, major issue. Security for our students in case of any kind of active situation that no one wants to talk about in this room. It's pretty ridiculous. You know, you can walk down the hallways and see into every single room, everything going on with nowhere to hide. So it's pretty straightforward what needs to be done there. Aside from those things, the main thing that I've heard from the naysayers is slow the process, better planning, right? So I just want to point out that Act 1 was a Pennsylvania bill that was established in 2006 and revised in 2011. And this bill essentially states that there's a lot of legalese. I tried to research it as much as I could, but it's really long and there's a lot of complicated stuff. But the bottom line here is that no school board can tell us how to vote or propose what they would like to do or not do. They can only propose the options that are available to them. And also that they have to hold a referendum and ask, as we've heard, from the selection of what we were hearing earlier, there's no opportunity for people to move forward and increase the budget without actually asking us as voters to vote on it and have a referendum. So they are forced to have that situation, whereas in the past, they were able to just increase the school taxes by their own vote and make their own decision about it. In order to get to a referendum, which we have on May 20th, they have to follow a set of legal procedures that involves their planning and consultation and other things. So I think it's pretty straightforward and simple to say that in order for them to put the referendum on the ballot in May 20th, they are required legally
to have already done this planning that so many would say hasn't occurred. So it's pretty straightforward to me that if you are approved to put it on your referendum, if you're approved to put it to a vote, obviously all of the forms and all of the required things have already been submitted, and there's really not much else to say about it. So thank you, and please vote yes on the 20th.
Thank you for your voice. Mr. Kargas, I see we have some callers on the line.
Yes, the next citizen for public comment, phone number ending in 1437. Please state your name and address.
Hello?
Good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Hi. Good evening. This is Laura Schlagenhofer, Rosemont Lane. I wanted to counter an argument that I continue to hear that building a new school does not improve education. There are many studies available that confirm modern, safe, and efficient school buildings do in fact improve educational outcomes. A new and modern school building can significantly improve learning in several ways. One, better learning environments. Modern classrooms with good lighting, ventilation, acoustics, and comfortable furniture help students focus, reduce distractions, and fatigue. Two, access to technology. Updated facilities include integrated technology like smartboards, high-speed internet, and digital learning tools, enhancing both teaching and student engagement. Three, flexible spaces. Modern schools are designed with adaptable spaces for group work, individual study, and project-based learning, which support a variety of teaching styles and student needs. Four, health and safety. New buildings have improved air quality, sanitation, and safety features, reducing absenteeism and creating a more supportive environment for learning. Five, inspiration and motivation. A well-designed, clean, and attractive environment can boost students' pride in their school, increase motivation, and improve behavior and attitudes towards learning. Six, accessible and inclusive classrooms. Safe and accessible spaces for all students of all abilities. This isn't about a building with all bells and whistles. This is about creating an environment that is more conducive to learning and supports our young people. We have amazing educators. I could spend an hour listening to the dozens I've encountered over my 17 years as a parent in this district. Let's invest in them, our community, and children. Please vote yes.
Thank you for your voice. Mr. Kargas?
The next citizen for public comment, phone number ending in 3984. Please state your name and address.
Hi, it's Mike Schleigenhofer, 1267 Rosemont Lane in Abington. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
Excellent. I'd like to take you all through a day in the life of a particular type of Abington resident right now. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I go downstairs, and I grab a cup of coffee and take a seat on the couch. At this point, I open up my phone and find my favorite Abington Facebook group. I log on as anonymous user number 17,823. And then for the rest of the day, I post the same things that I absolutely know are untrue in order to drum up additional no votes for building a new middle school. Have they even discussed the cost of removing debris and dirt I post, knowing that's included in the cost of construction, but that's okay because I'm getting engagement and misleading people. Somebody mentions tennis courts exist. That's too fancy. Next, we'll be giving students a spa and sushi bar if we allow that, I comment, realizing I'm not sure if I took my Tuesday pills or not. Why not just fix the old school, I say, somehow not realizing how much all of that will cost and not caring that that money has to come from somewhere else. But that's okay, I tell everyone. School sports and clubs are frivolous and too expensive. Let's cut those and use that money to pay for a tiny fraction of the cost of renovations. I post more now, but it's getting late in the morning and I've been distracted by some people I don't recognize who have been waiting at the bus stop a little bit too long. Once I post about that on nextdoor.com, I could turn my attention to getting books supportive of Abington's LGBTQ student community pulled from McKinley Elementary's library before returning to my favorite hobby, posting wrong things on Facebook. I'm begging you all, please go to oneasd.onefuture.org. All the information regarding this project is there. Every question you ask or see or respond to on Facebook has been answered on that site. It's complete and it's exhaustive. Do not be like that person I just described. Please vote yes for our children on May 20th. And finally, all you kids from GSA, from McKinley who spoke tonight, good on you. We're all proud of you, and you're on the right side of history. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your voice.
Next citizen for public comment, phone number ending in 1120. Please state your name and address.
Shaylee Baker,
Go ahead, we can hear you.
1078 Winwood Road. I just wanted to call and say a couple of things. I have a graduating senior this year, and we moved here when she was in 5th grade in 2017. And I wanted to call and specifically give a thank you to Abington School District. One of my concerns when we moved here from the Midwest was the lack of sort of Chromebooks and electronic learning. And thankfully, but not thankfully, when the pandemic happened, that was an immediate priority made by our superintendent, and it was done swiftly and quickly and enhanced our students' learning. I really want to call and say thank you to Dr. Fetcher and to the school board for doing an exceptional job over the last several years in managing many crises, both in our nation and within our district, with dignity, with respect, with poise, and with listening and open ears to the community. So I really appreciate that, and I want to say thank you to the district for doing that for my students. I have 3 children and 2 that went through the district. I want to specifically thank teachers. There's so many, but when we arrived here, Coach Conlin was one of the first teachers that really helped my son. Casey Chackler, who's still in the district, was phenomenal. Coach Grassi was a big support. And for my daughter, everywhere after the pandemic, she found an amazing teacher, including Mr. Hines, Mr. Pendergrass, Miss Whitman, and Miss Wolf. So I want to thank everyone for their support and what they do in educating our students. Regarding the new school building, obviously we won't be here, but I want to just offer for consideration that in 1962, when the new junior high was built, people were able to invest in our students in 2025 by making sure that our students now would have a school to go to that was good for that time. I want to encourage people that a no vote is voting against our future kids. That makes our grandkids not have a thriving educational system, and it will be a deficit to the community of Abington in 20, 30, and 40 years if we don't invest in our future now, especially with everything that's happening in education. It is vital and important that our citizens know that our voice in voting yes on the referendum will have a positive impact in generations to come. Even those on fixed incomes that have raised their children, who are now in their 60s and 70s and even 80s, their no vote is voting against the family dynamic and the community that they
Thank
were
you for your
beneficiaries
time,
of.
or thank you for your voice, rather. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room like to make a comment at this time?
Hi, Michelle Cooper, Kingsley Road. I just want to say real quick before I get into why I came up here, to the GSA students, so impressed and grateful for their voices and wanting to be a part of the process. They could have come up here to protest, but they decided that they wanted to come in and ask to be a part of the process moving forward. And that is so mature and very impressive. So I'd like to share the financial and educational consequences of a failed referendum, not just for the middle school, but for every school in our district. If the May 20 referendum does not pass, the district will be forced to allocate an estimated $8.3 million per year for the next 20 years to repair a building that's already more than 60 years old and beyond its intended lifespan. That money would come straight from the general fund, which currently supports essential district-wide services. teachers' salaries, academic programming, mental health staff, curriculum development, student services, extracurriculars, athletics, special education, transportation, and facilities upkeep across all buildings. Let's be clear, an $8 million shortfall isn't something you can absorb quietly. It means freezing new programs, scaling back electives, increasing class sizes, delaying technology upgrades, and reducing student support services. As an example, the robotics club that just asked for more funding, that kind of funding may not be available in order to sustain other priorities. The counselors, reading specialists, and intervention staff that families rely on, those roles may go unfulfilled or unfunded. A yes vote means a purpose-built middle school designed for collaboration, safety, accessibility, and future-ready learning. A no vote means we spend nearly as much money over time just keeping a failing building on life support without gaining any of the academic, health, or structural improvements our students need. This referendum isn't just about replacing walls and pipes. It's about building an environment where students can thrive, where educators can innovate, and where we stop wasting money on yesterday's problems. Let's choose a path that strengthens our schools, protects our classrooms, and ensures we are investing wisely. Let's vote yes on May 20th for real progress for every school and for every learner in the Abington School District. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice.
Hi, Jen Pertel. I live in Glenside. I really can't add much more to all the amazing comments that everybody has had so far tonight. I will say that in talking to coworkers and friends in the last few weeks, some of the things that they have asked about and that are on the website, One ASD, One Future, I will just run through. Why, was there, how did they pick the people that did the planning? Although that was put out for a bid, and it was they were selected from that point. Why is this happening so quickly? This is a 3-year process. This has been taking a lot of time. There's been a lot of transparency and a lot of information. There is the why didn't we do this 10 years ago? We were doing the grade schools, we were doing the stadium, we were doing the high school. And in general, it's just, this is an investment in us, in our kids, in our teachers, and in our community. And I just think that we are worth it. Our kids are worth it, our teachers are worth it, and the future of our school district is worth it. So I will be voting yes on May 20th, and I suggest everybody else does as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Go ahead.
Do we still have time for comments?
We'll take maybe one or two more, and then just a reminder that there is a second session for public comment at the end of the board meeting. So go ahead.
Hi, Tara Ng. I'm on Gregory Road in Rydal, and first I want to thank the school board for doing such a great job of planning and educating the public on the options and the transparency. I don't know how anyone can accuse them of not being transparent. I also want to compliment the students who spoke today. It takes a lot of bravery to speak at these meetings, especially for the students. So I appreciate their voice, and the librarian at McKinley, she's here. But I'm here to talk about the referendum. Really, I echo everything that people who spoke tonight said about the referendum, and so I'm not going to rehash all that. But one thing, I know a lot of people watching and here are very involved in the district or in what's going on in the district. But one thing people who do support the referendum, one thing they can do is to talk to friends and family that may not be as tuned in to what's going on, because I have run into several people or lots of my neighbors and friends who don't necessarily oppose it, but they just weren't aware. So I would ask everyone who's talked tonight in support or who's watching and listening to please reach out in this last week to educate your friends and family of what's on the line here. And one last point is, Michelle spoke a lot about what I was going to say about the cost of not approving the or voting for the referendum. So there is that $8.3 million figure a year that we'd have to, or that's estimated we'd have to put into the school if it doesn't pass. So it's not like a lot of people know people are opposed because of finances. Well, it's not free if we vote no on if the referendum fails. And the 8.3 million is probably a low estimate because once you have these emergency fixes, it becomes even more expensive. So just keep that in mind for anyone who's worried about the finances. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your voice. We'll do one more comment in the room, and then Mr. Kargas, I see we have one caller waiting online. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Rooney. I live in Ardsley. First, for those of you who are watching or will watch the video, visit commonsenseabington.com and you'll get a lot more information about this project. And I encourage everybody to vote no. Voting no is a fact that education does matter and our focus should be on education. I'd like to deal in the first comment section with a little bit about election interference, though. So there's a wise person once told me, rules are important until they're inconvenient. The school district had an opportunity, administration, to put the studies or whatever they had to the board, and then the board voted that they wanted to go to a referendum. And remember, a referendum is just to give them an opportunity to borrow $285 million to build a new middle school. That's the whole plan right now. However, when you send out a mailing 2 days before the mail-in ballots were received, and this is prepared, developed, and mailed by our school district, that's election interference. When you ask reasonable questions about who designed it, when was it designed, and how much was it cost, and then you're told you won't get an answer until after the election is over, that's election interference, and it's also a point of guilt, okay? When you put posters in schools to advertise people with all the reasons why they should vote yes, that's election interference. When you add a disclaimer on all of your literature that basically says this is being produced by Abington, that's in compliance with campaign finance laws. And the reason the school district does that is because they know they're treading on and beyond the line of just providing information. So that's a CYA. That's actually a self-admission that they're doing it. Use of school employees during working hours, whether it's the administrators or whomever, that's also a violation of the board policy and the superintendent's administrative procedures. Violation of prohibition of political partisan activity by ASD personnel and grounds during work is what those things say. When you don't answer questions as to who designed the mailer, who printed it, who mailed it, how much did it cost, and who authorized it, that in itself is indicative that there's a problem with the work that our school employees are doing. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Mr. Kargas?
This is a repeat caller.
Okay, so we'll ask them to wait until the next session.
This one, I'm sorry, this one that we have right now is good.
Okay.
There's a repeat caller after this one.
Okay, so we'll just do this one and then we'll close the first session.
Correct. So the next citizens for public comment, phone number ending in 3325. Please state your name and address.
Shanna Wenzel, Mount Carmel Ave. Hello?
Hello? I'm sorry, could you say that? Could you say that one more time?
Carmel Ave.
Did you get that, Mr. O'Donoghue? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask you to repeat it one more time.
Shanna Wenzel, Mount Carmel Ave.
Mount Carmel Ave. Okay. All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So I've looked on the website, and I don't see an actual plan for how spending $250 million is going to improve student performance. Most of the reasons listed for a new school are vague or generic, and there's not even one photo I found showing what the real issues are for those that are unaware. Right now, we're being asked to spend all this money based on the hope that the new building will raise student grades. And I just want us to be honest that nice facilities don't automatically lead to better learning. If we're being told this is about the kids and helping them learn better, then where are the goals? Where is the plan that shows how this spending will raise test scores by 10, 20, or 30%. If there is no plan for that, then why are people voting yes? The district should provide a clear framework connecting this spending to student learning outcomes, or just be honest that this is about facilities and not grades. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Okay, that brings to a conclusion our first section of public comment. Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Dr. Mallory. Just to address some of the questions that I can this evening, or presentations from the public. First, in terms of the question about residency verification, the number is approximately 1 to 2 dozen in this year, not 200. And that is a process that we continue, to everyone who registers within the district, and throughout the time in the district, we do residency verifications. That process will continue into the next year and following years. Part of the difference in number of students that we see on the screen this evening, there are currently 705 seniors and that who will graduate, and the prediction for kindergarten students for next year is 572. So it accounts for about 130. Thank you. So next, I want to move to the students who came in this evening to speak about the challenged book and the procedures for the challenge book. I first want to applaud the students for their voice in coming in. I appreciate the suggestion of student representation when these books or anything is evaluated. So I wanted to thank them for that suggestion and that recommendation as we constantly look at our procedures to ensure that we have equal voices and representation on all of our committees, and this being one of them. This procedure that has been put into place is to ensure that the voice of one individual, like the superintendent, is not the only voice that makes the decisions on these matters. This process, which has been in place, enables someone to challenge a material, bring to a committee, and then a discussion with that committee, and ultimately a committee decision is presented to the superintendent. I think that there have been some suggestions about that committee and the process within that committee, and I want to say that, first of all, I appreciate those suggestions, and as we constantly evaluate our procedures to look at ways to ensure that we tighten up the procedure and make sure that all voices are essentially heard within our community when making such a critical decision. So I want to thank the students for coming out and validate that their suggestion is aligned with most of our committees throughout the district. And we have committees on various things, from curriculum, to different student activities or scheduling, those types of things. And on those committees, we typically have students, we have teachers, we have community members, we have administrators. And when the students spoke this evening, I think their point is valid, that if we are doing this throughout other committees that we have, that student voice is just as important in this committee that is formed when we are examining a challenge material. To that end, I also want to address what Ms. Denton spoke about this evening, and that is, we do have numerous works within our libraries, K to 12, that are representative of LGBTQ plus voices as a school community as a whole. And, it's important for us as a district to make sure that there are literature that reflects diversity of our school population. And one of the components of the data that was shared this evening is concerning to me, that we examine the equity of opportunities across the libraries to ensure that if one library and their students in Abington School District is different than another library, I think that we should look at that. And I appreciate those statistics being brought up this evening. As it is essential that any student, just like in math class, when students in elementary all are in the same math program and move forward with that on a daily basis and try to keep a pace with whether you go to McKinley, whether you go to Willow Hill, our students are receiving the same curriculum. I also feel that the resources that are available for our students, regardless of their elementary school, it is important that they have an equal opportunity for resources as well. I think that. So the final piece that I want to address this evening is the allegation of election interference. And I will give that from my viewpoint as superintendent of the school district. Our goal from the outset of this process was not to tell people how to vote, but to provide information for the community to be able to make an informed decision. That we have put out information throughout this process. And yes, we have made a recommendation to the Board of School Directors that the administration believes that we should move forward with a process of a new middle school. That was an administrative recommendation. The board took that recommendation and said, well, we're going to move that recommendation to the public and let the public decide. It is important to me as superintendent that people's questions are answered, that they receive enough material to make this informed decision. The decision to communicate a tax calculator was to be totally transparent so that everyone knew the impact and could make an informed decision, regardless of what that decision would be. For example, I've spoken to some residents who, after looking at the tax calculator, have stated, I do think we should have a new middle school, but I can't support it because I can't, at this moment in our lives, afford it. And that's a decision that they made based on using that tool that we provided. So to say that, we are trying to promote one way or another is false. And I will stand by that and explain that we have merely given out information to our community. One of the questions that came up was, who is funding postcards that went out actually early when we were doing surveys and getting community input and directing people to the website so that they could have information. Well, the reason why we sent out cards to everyone in the community stemmed from one of my community meetings where people said, we don't know about this and my neighbors don't know about this. So we made a decision to say, okay, we will mail every single person in this community a postcard so that they can know about this. And we did that because we wanted a majority of community input. We also, sent out an additional postcard, and that postcard was that there is a vote. At no time did anyone say vote yes, did anyone say vote no. And quite frankly, from my seat, I respect the decisions that people make regardless of what it is. And everyone has their own decision to make. Everyone has to look at their own situation to make that decision, and also look at all the information that we've put on our website and all of the transparency from the start and community input. So to that end, I would debate the fact that we as a district or me as a superintendent did not interfere with this election, but rather promoted the election as a form of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we want to ask Mr. O'Donoghue to weigh in on this?
Sure, I have no issue.
Okay.
In my perspective, this was not election interference. This is providing factual information about a referendum, which is absolutely legal.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call President's prerogative and go first tonight. From my position, this district has done an extraordinary job getting out factual information to the community. It is my opinion that it had an ethical obligation to do that. The alternative would be to withhold that information and therefore deprive community members of the facts, the tax implications on which they could come to a valid conclusion about how they intend to vote on May 20th. The decision, had there been a decision not to disseminate information, that would have been, in my opinion, a breach of the district's ethical obligation to the community. So not only do I not have a problem with the district sending out information about the referendum, the specific nature of the question, the potential cost to the district and to taxpayers, I think that they have done everything right in that regard. I'd also like to make an observation about the students who came to speak tonight and thank them for their input and their suggestions. And I'll indulge myself tonight and make an observation from someone who wrote about the perils of censorship nearly 400 years ago. John Milton observed, "Who kills a book kills reason itself." And so efforts to censor collections should be undertaken with extraordinary care. I think part of that care involves having a student on the committee to help other members of the committee understand the implications of those decisions. So I would wholeheartedly support that. And with that, I will turn things over to my fellow board members for comments and observations. None?
I am proud of the students who came to speak, and it was already said before, but I think it's worth saying again. There are different ways you can advocate for what you believe in. One, and I'm not saying any of this is wrong, one is to stand and protest. The other is to come with solutions. I like that when they finished speaking, I knew exactly what they wanted, and I knew exactly what they were clear in saying. We're not objecting to the book being pulled. We're objecting to the way that it was pulled. And I respect that so much. And I do appreciate and invite as much student voice as possible, which is one of the reasons why we have Ms. Wu here. So I do also agree with your with what you're saying, Dr. Mowry.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I want to echo that and say that, in addition, just expand on that and say that there's a term that we use in my career called change agent. And what we saw here was students advocating not only to be included in this process, but also for a change in how we do things. And it won't only impact them, but also the students that come after them and impact our district. And so I'm very, very proud of them.
This might be kind of long, but
go ahead.
First, I just want to say that I agree that students should have a voice regarding like student matters, such as topics about like, minority groups, like for the development of students. And This is like shown during a quiz that was given out from the English committee, and it was shown that students want to read books that they find relatable because that's like a reflection of themselves. And like during that one of those English meetings, I saw books that I saw a reflection of myself and my culture in. And like while it's not exactly the same, students need to read books that they're interested in to grow and develop. And also about the flyers in the high school. Thank you to the Young Dems Club for posting them around, but they do not have points of why people should vote yes for the middle school. All it says is vote on May 20th, and I know that because my friend changed the poster 5 times to make sure there was no opinion on it.
Thank you for that insight. Anyone else? No? Okay. Did you want to add something else, Dr. Fetcher?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Okay.
I'll save it for the second round.
Okay. All right, so we have no additional agenda items this evening, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
With that, we will move on to the approval of minutes. Ms. Frazier, can you please read the recommendation to approve the April meeting minutes?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the minutes of the board meeting on April 8th, 2025, and the board meeting on April 22nd, 2025.
Second. We have a second. This is a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Ms. Frazier, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the personnel addenda?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the changes in personnel as reflected in personnel agenda numbers 8.1 and 8.1A and confidential addendum number 8.1B.
Second. Dr. Fetcher, we have a second.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. The personnel addenda begins with a request for leaves of absence for 5 professional employees and compensation for IEP meetings, interpreter and translation services, and parent meetings. I'd like to bring your attention to the retirement of Miss Natalie Hirsch, an art teacher at Rydell Elementary School, who has served the district for 29 years. Mr. Raymond Hirsch, a music teacher at Copper Beach Elementary School, who has served the district for 36 years. Ms. Jennifer Tanai, science teacher at Abington Middle School, who has served the district for 32 years. Mr. Wayne Carroll, a bus driver in the transportation department, who has served the district for 8 years. Ms. Donna Jones, a paraprofessional at Copper Beach Elementary School, who has served the district for 6 years. Ms. Suzanne Martin, a paraprofessional at Copper Beach Elementary School, who has served the district for 23 years.
Okay. Thank you. We certainly want to wish our retirees well. Ms. Tanai, I think, was a teacher at Highland when my daughter started there. And I know she is much beloved. So she will be missed, but we wish them well in this next chapter. Other comments or questions? Go ahead.
Miss Tanai was a teacher at McKinley when my daughter started there. And she ran the environmental science club at that time. And I think she's running it at the middle school now, if I'm not mistaken. To all the retirees, congratulations. And Ms. Tanai, thank you for your contribution to my household.
Both my kids had Miss Tanai at McKinley and at the middle school. So she's just a wonderful person. I wish her all the best in her retirement.
Coming off of Teacher Appreciation Week, just a big thank you to all the teachers who are retiring, and a special heartfelt thank you to Mr. Hirsch. I have 5 children. 4 of them came through the district, and one is almost here. He'll be on his way in a year or 2. But Mr. Hirsch has touched each and every one of the 4 who've come through Copper Beach through the music program, and he will be forever missed. Big shoes to fill. Just thank you so much for your service.
That's lovely. Okay, Ms. Flanagan, this is a roll call vote.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. Ms. Frazier, can you please read the recommendations for permits for use of buildings and grounds?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the applications for permits for the use of buildings and grounds as reflected in addendum number 9.1.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher, we have a second.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. The permit addendum continues to reflect requests for buildings and grounds for meetings and other school activities and events for this time of year.
Okay. Questions or comments from my fellow board members?
I was excited to see DVCE coming to Abington after having to change the date of the day of the Eagles parade. So go Birds. I'm happy they did change the date, but I'm happy that it's close to home. So I'm excited to attend with my students that I have the pleasure of teaching.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay, Mrs. Flanagan, if you would.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it. Ms. Frazier, can you please read the recommendation for advertisements for bids?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the advertisement for bids as reflected in addendum number 10.1.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher, we have a second?
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. This evening, we have one request for permission to advertise, and that is for audio equipment for Abington Senior High School in the auditorium, and that will be paid by the Abington Senior High School Theater Fund. One thing I would like to mention about that is obvious question that someone may have is, wasn't the building renovated and additions placed on the building? During the renovation, the Abington auditorium was not renovated. It was not part of the project. So at this time, this is to replace that audio equipment, which was not part of the overall additions and renovations project.
Okay. Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I did have one question, the way that it was phrased in our documents. Is it fully funded by that or partially funded by the music fund?
Mr. Lionetti, I believe that's totally funded by the theater fund.
That's my understanding. If we find that something different, we'll let you know. But I believe Dr. Fetcher has it absolutely correct.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited that that's there. That's awesome.
And just to explain what that means is, if you attend one of our programs, there are tickets, and you purchase a ticket to go in, and it's part of the theater fund that assists with that. So for those of you who have come to our plays and purchased tickets, thank you. And students, thank you for a new audio equipment.
My recollection, too, is that this update has been needed for some years.
Yes. Yes. The need for new audio equipment, if you have had an opportunity to attend a show, it's been very trying over the years, and not only with theater, but with our music programs as well, to upgrade that equipment has been necessary. So I'm glad to see that it is finally occurring.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? No? All right, Mrs. Flanagan, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Ms. Frazier, can you please read the recommendation for awards of contracts?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the awards of contracts as reflected in addendum number 11.1.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher, we have a second.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. There are 2 awards of contract for your consideration this evening. And the first is for access control district-wide, and that is paid for by a grant from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, and that access control is essentially means keyless entry at doorways and a security system for those entryways. The next is for HVAC upgrades at McKinley Elementary School, and this is funded from the Series 2024 General Obligations Bond, as well as our Public School Facilities Improvement Grant.
Okay, questions or comments from the board? None? Okay, Mrs. Flanagan, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Balding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye, the ayes have it and the motion passes. Ms. Fraser, can you please read the recommendation for adoption of instructional materials?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors, in accordance with Sections 508 and 803 of the Pennsylvania School Code, adopt new textbooks and/or instructional programs for the subjects, courses, and levels reflected in addendum number 12.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. We saw the presentation this evening. We can answer any additional questions that you may have.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Just always thankful that the proposals for adoption is very diverse in nature. So, for example, we have adoptions that help students. It was K to, well, can you scroll down to the last one? K to 12. What's it reading? The Special Education Attainment Company. I am thrilled about the African American Studies book. I had a chance to peruse through that. I love that it has the primary documentation in there. So I'm very excited about that. I know the financial literacy courses is a mandate, but even though it's a mandate, I'm excited about the algebra component and connecting it to giving students who may not think that calculus is a place where they want to go. It gives them somewhere where they can see math and how it applies in real life, and that's really important to offer students. So I'm excited that we have those courses, and I'm excited to say yes.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. It's a roll call vote, Mrs. Flanagan.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Balding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye, the ayes have it, the motion passes. Ms. Fraser, can you please read the recommendation for adoption of instructional subscription renewals?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the instructional materials subscription renewals as reflected in addendum number 13.1.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher, we have a second.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. This item is for the annual review of instructional material subscriptions for a variety of content areas, which are for use in classroom instruction for the next school year.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Okay, one more time.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Balding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye, the ayes have it, the motion passes. I stand corrected. We have one more. Can we roll these into one on 14?
You can roll 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3.
Okay.
I would.
Not 15.
15,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So
That are.
It's 14.1 and 14.3 is information. 14.2 is information.
okay. So Ms. Fraser will combine 14.1 and 14.3 for the purposes of this vote. Okay. So instead of reading those items separately, you'll just combine them.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay. Would you please read the recommendations for items 14.1 and 14.3?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors adopts the proposed final general fund budget of the Abington School District for the 2025-2026 school year in the amount of $204,914,426 as shown in addendum number 14.1. It is also recommended that the Board of School Directors advertise its intention to adopt the 2025-2026 final general fund budget on Tuesday, June 24th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 970 Highland Avenue, Abington, Pennsylvania, and that the 2025-2026 proposed final general fund budget be available for inspection for no less than 20 days prior to June 24th, 2025.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher, we have a second.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. This evening, we presented the recommended proposed final general fund budget. We can answer any further questions that you may have, but I would like to take a moment to remind you that the budget will continue to be reviewed, and we welcome your recommendations as we move forward toward adoption of the final budget in June.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from my colleagues?
Just one comment. I just wanted to thank board members today. There's a lot going on in this meeting, but there was a lot of time that was taken to identify areas that are able to be, in our control and out of our control regarding the budget. I think that's really important to use our time for that. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Muhammad and Ms. Brown for taking the time to go through that this evening. And I look forward to our next presentation so we can continue that conversation as needed.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Budget decisions are not taken lightly. And, we are in a position where we are trying to keep this good thing and make it great and keep it great. And we have to pay for nice things. As a community, we have to pay for nice things. And the cost of nice things continue to rise. We spent some time discussing the cost of things that we have no control over, but we are obligated to pay for. And we either make tough budgetary decisions so that we can maintain and improve academic programming for our students. And sometimes that means we turn to the community and say, continue to make this investment, because I think we all can agree that here in Abington, we have a good thing. And it's important to keep that good thing good.
I would add to that, good things cost money. Expert teachers cost more. But they are worth every penny. And we are very lucky to have a talented faculty here who work hard every day to lift up our students and are really integral members not only of our district community, but our community at large. And it's, salaries and benefits are the biggest line item in this budget, but in my estimation, it's worth it. Any other comments or observations or questions? Okay. Mrs. Flanagan, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Muhammad?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Feasy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. Ms. Fraser, would you please read the recommendation for the cost plan for the MCIU?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors authorize the board president and chief school administrator to execute an agreement between the Abington School District and the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, number 23, where the intermediate unit will provide the school district with special education services for 2025-2026 as reflected in addendum number 15.1. Said agreement being subject to changes based on district needs and intermediate unit costs.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher, we have a second.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. The regulations of the PA Department of Education require each school district to develop a services request plan with its intermediate unit. The plan is to reflect the nature and estimated costs of special education services that the district intends to contract from the intermediate unit during the 2025-2026 school year. We can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions from the board?
I just wanted to comment on this as well. I appreciate that we're situated in a county that provides such robust services that help fill gaps here, that present to student benefit. And I'm looking forward to voting yes. And I'm grateful to have the intermediate unit to service our students as needed.
Okay. Anyone else?
I firsthand know the benefit of having these supports and having them early on. So I too appreciate the services that we receive through MCIU.
Okay, great. Mrs. Flanagan, this is a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. Ms. Fraser, can you please read the recommendation for the adoption of the IDEA agreement and adoption of policies and procedures?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors authorizes the superintendent to enter into the use of funds agreements with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit number 23 for IDEA funds for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, and adopt the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit's policies, procedures, and use of funds under the federal requirements of 34 CFR Part 300, which fulfill the agreements of 22 Pennsylvania Code, Chapter 14, and the regulations of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Part B.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. We anticipate that we'll receive IDEA funds from the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, which receives funds from the federal government. The funds are used to pay for a wide variety of special education expenses, such as special education teacher salaries, benefits, extended school year services for our students, professional development, technology, and other supplies and programs. The agreements pertain to the distribution of the funds, the notice of adoption of policies, procedures, and use of funds, and cite federal regulations that we agree to follow as a recipient of these funds. We can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments from the board? Okay, we'll move to the vote then.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. Ms. Fraser, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the confidential student matter?
Yes, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the confidential student matters as reflected in addendum number 17.1.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher, we have a second.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. The confidential student matters regarding an education service agreement, keeping in mind the confidentiality of student matters. I can answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Mrs. Flanagan, let's vote.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Dr. Fesher, are there any additional reports and recommendations by the administration and superintendent?
Yes, Dr. Mowry. I provide for you the conference attendance and professional leaves report and the capital improvement projects report for your information. I'd like to bring your attention to professional leave for Mr. Michael Carroll, Abington Middle School teacher, who will present at the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit's STEELS, or Science, Technology, and Engineering Environmental Literacy Sustainability Expo at Upper Marion High School. The presentation will focus on the curriculum of a sixth grade invention lab class. He will share hot insights into the course design, showcase examples of student work, and conclude with a live demonstration of a hands-on project commonly completed by our students in the class.
Excellent. Always glad to see our students, our faculty and our students out and about. Any other comments or observations? No? All right. With that, if there is no other business that appropriately may be brought to the attention of the board, we will move on to our final comment from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comments is 267-715-3717. It's being displayed on the screen at this time. You'll be able to join the meeting by calling in on your mobile or landline phone. A citizen will be recognized once during this period of the meeting. Each citizen's comments will be limited to a total of 3 minutes, except at the discretion of the president. Time may not be yielded or otherwise transferred by one speaker to another for purposes of extending a given speaker's time allotment. Just before we start this, if there's anyone who wants to make a comment who did not comment in the first session, I would take that first.
Thank you. My name is Erin Palmer, and I live on Carmet Road. First, I just want to congratulate Mrs. Tanai. My eighth grader has known her since she was in second grade, and I remember in 2020 during virtual learning and asynchronous learning, Mrs. Tanai hand-delivered little goodie bags to all of her students, contactless delivery, that were filled with goodies and fun educational activities. So we have a very warm place in our hearts for Mrs. Tanai, and she will be greatly missed. Since entering the Abington school system, my eighth grader has had at least 20 different teachers, and each one has challenged her in positive ways. Every single teacher I have reached out to for reasons that range from clarification on curricular activities to coming up with a plan for my daughter to stay on track have responded and helped promptly, effectively, and willingly. Every single teacher has had the success of my child and all of their students as their top priority. This year alone, my child's ELA teacher is pushing them beyond the limits they thought that they could achieve by assigning challenging texts and writing assignments. My child's social studies teacher allows heated but friendly debate in his class and encourages his students to think outside the box. My child's musical theater teacher believed in her artistic and leadership abilities and encouraged my child to become a role model for the younger cohort of actors. The service learning program here at Abington encouraged my child to achieve 100 hours of service this year, 100 hours of giving back to her Abington community. And my child is just one of thousands of Abington students who are receiving a quality education while giving back to their community. Abington doesn't have a problem with their teachers or with the success of their students. Abington has a facilities problem and has presented a well-researched and data-driven option for us to vote yes on next week. And just as a reminder to the community, especially those who think this process needs to be slowed down, from beginning to end, if the referendum passes, the length of this process would have lasted at least 6 years, starting with input from citizens in 2023 and ending with the new school being ready to use in 2029. During those 6 years, this very transparent process included lengthy surveys, which were offered to every single community member, a dedicated informational website laying out the entire process, and 2 years of research that produced a feasibility study and 5 options that were presented to the community, with the majority choosing the option that will be on the ballot on Tuesday. If the community votes to build a new middle school on May 20th, the discussions, planning, and research will not stop.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Your time is up.
No problem. Thank you for
Thank you for your voice. Okay.
Bob Jesnowski from Irvin Road. And I wanted to state that I'm a vote no for the referendum. And you stated that there's a lot of information out there. I want to address some of the information that was the yes crew has been saying. They stated that the middle school is old and that it's actually 8 years younger than the high school. And their science wing is less than 30 years old and hasn't been paid off yet. And there's other sections of the middle school that are in fine shape. My children all gone to the middle school. I think it's a well-built school. It needs a lot of updating. It's been neglected for years. I want to see a process that was done like in the high school. I was impressed with the upgrades that were done, hiding all the pipes, doing new ceilings, new walls, floors, and everything else. In construction business, I work on 100-year-old buildings all the time, get rid of the knob and tube and everything else. The figures, the other thing that I hear all the time is the cost is the same, or 93% of what it costs to go and rebuild it as what the cost is to build a new one. That is not true, because they keep leaving out the demolition cost and the rebuilding of the roads and the parking lots and the fields and everything else. That the actual cost is it's about $80 million more to go and build a new school, because you have all those demolition costs that you wouldn't have if you were to rebuild what you have. I've walked through the tour of the school. I can imagine the classrooms. They have the full windows on the rooms. I imagine them having a transom at the top so they get the light in there, but the bottom section would be blocked off. Any problem with the windows, they can have tinning put on them. I would imagine having a large addition on to take care of any ADA matters and any kind of issues like that, and add the additional space, just like we did with the high school, just like we did with the science wing. And those things can all be done. And this is why I suggest that you vote no, and that you go to commonsensabington.com.
Thank you for your voice.
I just wanted to direct some of the comments that he just made. The demolition costs are within...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ooh, sorry.
Your name and address.
Sorry. Ashley Bram Johnson. I lived over near Rydell Elementary. The demolition costs are within the $285 million budget. I also went on a tour of the middle school, and they did say that some of the windows on the outside of the building, I think, already have like tinted stuff on it, but because of like the age of the windows, that's not going to do anything to like with the temperature control of the building or anything. As for ADA compliancy, like the walls are solid, cinder blocks. There's no going into the walls. They already have problems because of like plumbing and stuff inside the walls, that when things break, like that's incredibly expensive to be breaking into cinder block walls to fix these things. So I don't know, just again, like the building was not, from its inception almost, was not made to be modified in the ways that we need it to be modified in 2025. I've heard from people going back to, the original class who was in this building, and they said that they had problems with it back then. It's just clear that we need to move on, have a brighter future, come up with a better plan. And that's what you guys are doing. And that's why we should all vote yes next week. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice.
Hi, my name is Lydia Sitt. I'm on 1551 Warner Road. I'm here to speak in support of the new middle school. I agree with all the other issues that have already been shared about why a new building is necessary. We can go on and on about the physical issues of the building, but as a child adolescent psychiatrist with over 15 years of experience, I actually want to shine a little light on the mental health of our middle school students. And it's no surprise that the youth in America are in a mental health crisis. According to the CDC study from 2023, 40% are reporting persistent sadness and distress. And suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 through 14, which is alarming. And what does this have to do with a building? Well, honestly, most of those students that are in distress don't make it to offices like mine. And pouring more money into just more therapists and psychiatrists aren't really going to help. We really are moving toward preventative measures, and those lie within schools. Creating safe, welcoming spaces that increase connection and belonging. The current building is not going to do that. Flexible spaces that will allow for smaller groups, interventions, and a community within the student body. That current building is never going to do that, no matter how much money you pour into it. And a space that feels inclusive and doesn't exclude those with differences. A school that is safe from the anxieties and dangers that we read in the headlines all too often. We need to do something. We need a new school building. And the least that we can do for our children is voting yes on May 20th.
Thank you for your voice. Anyone else in the room? Go ahead.
Joe Rooney and Ardsley. A couple of issues. First, the budget today just increased taxes by another 4%. Last year it increased by 5%, and this building is another 13.8% increase. So that's almost 23% tax increase in a little more than 2 school years is what the proposal is if you vote yes. So we're asking folks, vote no, because we need a better plan and we need to take our time because education actually matters. The values of Abington does not say, oh, good things cost money, so we got to pay for it. Our values should say, we need to get first what we can afford, but we can't chase people either out of their homes or out of the district by increasing taxes by over 20% in little more than 2 years. 75% of our local tax is spent on schools already. People are unbelievably generous. And your hard decisions is where figuring out how much to increase our taxes. That's not responsible. It's fiscally irresponsible. Now, people have said, oh, it's going to be $8 million to renovate the school a year. Well, a 13.5% tax increase is $17 million increase for every Abington and Rockledge taxpayer for the next 40 years. That's a $17 million collective increase in our spending right now. So $8 million pales in comparison. I also would like to say, Abington School District themselves said that the current building is worth $100 million roughly in 2022. There's 22,000 taxpayers. That's almost $5,000 in value that every taxpayer has in that building. And now the board says, let's just tear it down and throw it away. That's not an investment. That's not how you treat investments. You already have $5,000 in value, and you also have reports from your own experts saying we have a structurally sound building. That building can and should be renovated. I love people who call in and they say what a great education their kids got in Abington. And I think they're getting a good education right now in the current middle school. If the neglect that our board and our administration has allowed lighting to go down, has allowed our bathrooms to fall into a near embarrassing state of disrepair, that doesn't mean tear the building down. That means address our board and our administration and go and our principal and go, why have you allowed these to get in that condition? Please, folks, commonsenseabington.com. A vote no is a vote for a better plan and to take time and actually look and see what's proposed before we borrow $285 million and bankrupt or chase out some of our seniors. Thank you.
Go ahead. Hi, Michelle Cooper, Kingsley Road. I had a question about the state of Medicaid and the federal budget and how that might affect the funding from MCIU and from IDEA. So I didn't know if there was any contingency plan. So that's just a question I want to throw out there. I want to take a moment to speak to those who may be concerned about how this referendum will affect their budget. especially older adults, residents on fixed incomes, and working families. The proposed investment in a new Abington Middle School comes with a cost, but there are important protections in place for those who may need them most. Residents who qualify for the property tax/rent rebate program through the state of Pennsylvania can receive up to $650 back annually. In some cases, with supplemental programs, that amount can be even higher. Many seniors and lower income homeowners are already eligible for these rebates but may not know it. The district is already committed to helping residents access this relief through outreach and support. There's also the homestead and farmstead exclusions, which reduce the assessed value of your home for tax purposes if it is your primary residence. This lowers your school property tax burden, something many residents already benefit from and would continue to benefit from even after the referendum. Most importantly, what we're voting on is not waste. It's a smart, long-term investment. If the referendum fails, we'll still spend nearly the same amount over 20 years, over $100 million in emergency repairs. And that money will come from the general fund, draining resources from classrooms, student services, and every other school in the district. That's not responsible, that's not sustainable, and it doesn't give our students or our taxpayers what they deserve. Voting yes ensures that we use our dollars efficiently, transparently, and in a way that actually improves education, not just patches holes in aging walls. Let's support this investment not just for the students, but for the community. Relief is available, and the district will work to make sure residents can access it. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Mr. Kargas, shall we move on to callers?
Yes, the next citizen for public comment, phone number ending in 2925.
That was-
Please state
okay.
your name and address.
Hello, my name is Matthew Palmer, and I live on Carmet Road. I had to return home, so sorry I couldn't stick around. I didn't think you'd get to comments within the next hour or so. So I just wanted to comment and say that, first of all, I find it hilarious, the irony of someone incapable of following campaign laws and rules attempting to call out the school board and the school district on campaign interference, because when signs are not permitted in public spaces and they are constantly found there, clearly you have no respect for the rule of law or order, and you don't really get an opportunity to speak out against other people for the same kind of thing, whether it's true or not. Aside from that, anybody with the ability to read a budget can read the line items brought up as concerns about the existing budget. It states that there's line items in there for the deconstruction of the current grounds and the reconstruction of the roads and all the other things. If you can read a budget, you can find that information. It's pretty straightforward. That's really all I wanted to say. Please vote yes on May 20th for the new school, and thank you very much.
Thank you for your voice. Our next caller, Mr. Kargas.
Next citizen for public comment, phone number ending in 2201. Please state your name and address.
Hello? Can you hear us? Okay, we'll move on. Do we have any more
Also
callers?
repeat caller.
Okay. They can call in again during the second session, right?
This is the second session.
Second session for public comment. What?
This is the
they've
second
already
time,
called
yes.
in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. Okay. All right. So we have no more callers.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to make a comment? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Jen Pertel, I live in Glenside. It's really just reiterating what a lot of other people have said, but my opinion is we don't have a choice whether to spend a lot of money on our middle school. The question is, what do we want to get for our investment? And I personally would rather proactively and thoughtfully, with the plan that has been in the works for 3 years, and I appreciate all the work you guys have done, and I trust the expertise you guys selected to do it, and that they will then carry it out if it passes. But I would rather have a proactive and thought-out plan that, in the end, our investment, which for me, I use the website, I think it would be, in total, it'd be a 9% increase, and that's over the lifetime of this, because I know it's going to be phased in. And in the end, there'll be a new middle school. If we didn't approve this, we end up patching for over 100 million, or patching and a little renovation for 200 million. We end up with the same building with many of the same problems, and it'll be 80 years old by the time the impact on our budget has been resolved. And I would rather end up with a new building that we have decades and decades of use out of, made for today's learning environment, today's Abington School District. And so I, again, encourage everybody to vote yes on May 20th.
Thank you for your voice.
Tara Ing on Gregory Road. I'll just keep it quick because I know we all want to get out of here. First, I want to wish Miss Tanai all the best in retirement. My kids also had her, and she's just one of the best that we have at Abington. Also, I'm really happy to see that the HVAC at McKinley is finally getting updated. That's great news. And so just on a closing statement, I want to thank the board of school board directors and administration for giving Abington residents the opportunity to vote yes, or to vote, but I'm promoting vote yes on May 20th. And to remind voters to please remember to check both sides of your ballot on Election Day so you don't miss the opportunity to vote on this very important question. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Bryson, you want to close us out?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
I just want to
there
say
might be. Okay. All right.
that this is all really about, or it was mentioned that the goal of this, or this being advertised, that it's supposed to benefit the education of the students. And someone mentioned that they don't see how, renovating this building could help the education of students. And I don't really understand that. And it might be me, but if you go inside the high school and just look at it really, and then go inside the middle school, it's not the same. And it's definitely a different environment and a different kind of learning environment. And I just don't really understand how you could say that the difference in those two environments wouldn't make a difference in a child's education. If they're going there every day, spending 6 hours of their life there every day, that's a lot of time. So I just was a little bit confused. So I just, was just letting everyone know.
Thank you. All right. Well, there was a thought that we had maybe one more. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Grace Taylor, Jackson Ave in Ardsley. I just want to make it known to everybody that even if you are not registered with a particular party, this is a primary election, so you might not be thinking about it if you're independent. You can still vote on the referendum. Your ballot will just have the referendum question on it. So please don't avoid Election Day if you're not registered with the party, since we have closed primaries in PA. That's all.
Great. Thanks for that reminder. All right. Anyone else? We have one more. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. The next citizen for public comment, phone number ending in 2561. Please state your name and address.
Hello.
Hi.
I am Susie Pribella, and I live on Highland Ave.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'm also going to keep it short. So I'm voting yes for the tax referendum on May 20th. Aside from sort of all the benefits to having a new building and the potential for reconfiguration and spacing, one of the things I think that spoke to me was just looking at the financial burden in light of all the different options that are out there, because I think the financial burden is there regardless of which path we ultimately take. And it's a question of what those tax dollars are going to be allocated to and whether the solution is a short-term or long-term fix. So when the school board was originally considering a bunch of options and then narrowed it down to 4, they looked at the cost for just, plain proper renovations, and they came in at around 206 million. And then they looked at the cost for these, proper renovations, in addition to an addition, which would help address some of the layout and overcrowding, and that was 268 million. And then there was the cost for one new middle school, which addresses the layout and the overcrowding concerns and has multiple other benefits, and that came out at 285 million. And that's the plan that they proposed to move forward with after getting community input on at least 2 surveys that I answered. And based on the studies and the materials on the 1ASC website, I think moving forward with one new middle school is the right approach. Any way you look at it, we're going to need to spend money. And I'd rather my tax dollars go toward a long-term proactive solution that has the highest chance of resolving the challenges that face the existing middle school. I think it's too costly to keep waiting or to make bare minimum repairs if the referendum fails and then ending up having to make major renovations or build a new middle school, 5 years down the line or what have you in the near future. I think it's too costly and insufficient to make renovations with or without an addition instead of a new middle school. So at this point, I think it's time to move forward with an investment grade decision. And that's why I'm voting yes. And I hear the questions about the education. A new building does not by itself create new education programs, but it supports the teachers by giving them the space to create these programs and to collaborate. And it supports the students, all of the students, who would have a better learning environment configured to meet their needs. The results of some of the early surveys, which you can find on the website, they asked teachers what their primary concerns and considerations were, and at the top of that list for the middle school teachers was a reconfiguration of the middle school, either completely restructured or split into 2 new smaller schools, and that building size and space was insufficient relative to the current instructional needs. So I'm voting yes to support the community, and because I think our students and our teachers need something better to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice.
That was our last caller.
Thank you. All right. One more time. Anyone else in the room? All right. With that, Dr. Fetcher, is there anything you'd like to respond to?
No further comments.
Okay. Okay. So we will move on to closing comments of school directors. Mr. Allen.
So much has been said tonight and really over the past months and years. Tuesday is kind of the day of reckoning for us, and it's like reality. And I really am hopeful that the referendum passes because for all the reasons we need to do something with the middle school. With that said, if the referendum shouldn't by chance not pass, I also want the community to know that it doesn't mean, I'll speak for myself, that I'm going to wash my hands and say, well, we tried, and the kids and the teachers and the community will just suffer in the middle school. Like that just means we have to retool and figure out something else to do. But I'm going to go into this way more positive than that. I just had to put that out there, that it's not a zero sum, and I really am confident and hopeful through a ton of community conversations I've had. People support this. They invest in the community by and large in this town, and I think we are something special, and we have a good thing going, as Mr. Muhammad said, and I'm hopeful for Tuesday. So get out to vote, and definitely flip your ballot over and look at the back. That was really good advice. Thank you.
Mrs. Brown.
Thank you. I just want to highlight student voice and just promote how important it is for students to have an opportunity to express themselves, to share their insight, and to make demands for positive change. One of the ways that I saw that manifest on April 25th was at the MCIU legislative breakfast, where our current school president and our current school board student representative attended, and they were able to engage with legislators regarding education, and I thought that was quite powerful. I also want to thank teachers, nurses, and principals. As we went into May, it was Nurse Appreciation Day, Teacher Appreciation Week, and Principal Appreciation Day. And then finally, I want to recognize someone who was an administrator here in Abington, and yesterday was her funeral services. And although I was not able to go because I was serving students at the MCIU at a 24 competition, my heart was with all who were there. So I am praying for LaVonda Daniels' family and the school community, because I know that there are people, including in this room, who loved her dearly. So my heart goes out and my prayers are with you.
Ms. Eisenhart?
First and foremost, I just wanted to commend the students that spoke this evening. If their parents or loved ones are listening, you should be proud. Any child that can create a voice and use it and have the confidence to do so in this room or any other space for something that is important to them, that they feel strongly about, I'll always be encouraged to witness it, and I applaud their actions this evening. Regarding the referendum, I am a board member. I'm a member of this community first and a mom first. I am absolutely almost overwhelmed with the amount of engagement and thoughtful discussion that has taken place in these past months. Tonight, I feel like there's nothing that I could say, even as good or even close as well to what was said this evening in the comments. I am excited and happy to vote yes on May 20th. An investment in public education is the greatest gift that we can do and provide for our community. It's a legacy for generations. And a long time ago, when my husband and I decided to set up our roots here in Abington, we did so because of the school district. And I feel reinforced that I'm surrounded in a community that upholds to those values. And I look forward to continuing to do so and to see it thrive. So thank you for all of the wonderful engagement. I will be voting yes. And I have appreciated witnessing this process, as long as it sometimes has been. Thank you.
Mr. Mohammed?
If I had it my way, every student across this globe would go to school in a palace. There would be no facilities issues. There would be no overheating classes. There would be no freezing classes. There would be none of those concerns that students have to deal with within Abington and Rockledge, outside of Abington and Rockledge. Of course, we cannot afford to build a palace, but we can afford to build a school that lacks the distractions and disruptions that the current middle school is presenting to our students. It's going to improve their educational outcomes. It's going to improve their experience here in the Abington School District. You know, Bryson, thank you for drawing the comparison or the contrast between what you have in the high school based on a community investment and what we have in the middle school. And the middle school has been on the radar of several iterations of this board for years now. It's a process. It takes time. And people saying, wait, I don't know where you've been for the last 3 years. We've been discussing. We've been giving people the opportunity to give input. We've invited people into the middle school. People are always invited into this space. There have been ample opportunities to get the information, to get the factual information. And I wonder what kind of school they want to actually send our students into. What are they saying when they say, wait, kick the can down the road? Our students deserve this form of investment in the community. This community deserves this investment. And the question becomes, where does the funding come from? If we do not say yes on Tuesday, we automatically start to chip away at the budget we spent time discussing earlier in this meeting. And the $204 million budget that is coming down the line is going to be a little bit smaller because we have to put aside money for the middle school. And if we put aside the money for the middle school out of the budget that we currently have, we then have to talk about what do we take away? What do we take away from that beautiful high school? What do we take away from those amazing elementary schools? What do we take away from the middle school? What happens to our educational programming because we have to take away $8 million or more on an annual basis? Our students deserve this. This is not a political decision. This is not a political conversation. This is a conversation about the future of our community. This is not a Republican, Democratic, Independent, Green Party. Party does not matter when it comes to this decision. This school system serves every family and every student. And in our democracy, we are blessed to have an education system that says everyone gets this. In our community, we are blessed to have the resources to afford this sort of project. It's time for us to recognize that these decisions need to be made and to say yes and invest in this new middle school. Vote yes on Tuesday, May 20th, and I'm hopeful that we'll get the right outcome. Thank you.
Ms. Spalding.
I've heard a lot of people, and you can see, I represent the senior group. I've lived in the township. Next month will be 29 years. I don't have any children, but I've paid my real estate taxes every year, and I will continue to pay them. I think the issue with seniors is a separate issue, and I'm going to address that with my state rep and, and senator, because I think that needs to be tackled another direction. As far as the middle school goes, I was sort of indifferent. I don't have any kids. I don't have any grandkids. But seeing the school, and I'm close with a lot of the kids in the community, I think this is something that we just have to do it. We just have to do it. And the kids can't vote, so we have to vote for them, and we have to think of them. So all I can do is just hope that next week we have a good outcome. And please, everybody, go vote, whichever way you decide. Thank you.
Ms. Hartman.
I echo a lot of what my fellow board members have already said, and I'm not going to repeat it all again. I do want to applaud the students from the GSA who came out to speak tonight. It takes a lot of bravery and self-awareness to come out here from the high school and speak out on a topic that can be controversial. But it also speaks to the strength of our student groups at the high school and our clubs, and giving kids an opportunity to feel like they belong and have a sense of strength to be able to come out and speak to something in such a public forum. So anyone, if their parents are listening or any of their teachers, can pass that on to them. I want to thank everyone who came out tonight and who has come out over the past few months, years, to speak about the referendum and the need for a new middle school. It's a really important day on Tuesday, and I hope everyone, no matter how you're voting, gets out and practices their democratic responsibilities and votes, and hopefully we can make this happen for our kids. So thank you to everyone who came out tonight.
Ms. Fraser.
I'll keep it short. I'd just like to say thank you to all of our stakeholders, and I'm wishing for the best, like each and every one of you. Good night.
Thank you. Ms. Fazy.
Yes, so I wanted to just say thank you to everyone who came out and spoke tonight, and thank you for all your voices. And thank you especially to our brave and brilliant students who came out and spoke tonight. The opportunity to vote on this decision is something that's very unique, at least in my mind, coming from Philadelphia to Abington, largely driven because of the schools and the education that I could see my children receiving here. This is something, a vote for a referendum isn't something that you see in Philadelphia. So I'm very, very excited to take up to participate in this. Being here tonight and hearing from everyone here and hearing to all the community members that came out, I'm really proud and happy to be in Abington. And I'm happy to stay here and raise my family in Abington. And I'm happy to be a part of this community. And that's about all I have. So take care, everyone.
Thank you. Ms. Wu?
Relating to what Bryson was saying earlier, recently I went back to the middle school for ELD Family Engagement Night, and it was very nostalgic, but I can tell that the school definitely needs help. And I didn't recognize the large difference between the two buildings until I had the chance to go back and compare the two. So even though I can't vote, I want to encourage everyone to go vote next Tuesday. And also congratulations to Ms. Sinai, who was also my teacher in McKinley. And have a good night.
Thank you. The conversation is a sign of a healthy community. And that includes everyone who has shown up at these meetings to express their views of the referendum, as well as the students who felt comfortable enough to come here tonight and share their views about the book. So from that perspective, we've already done ourselves proud. I like to think that much of that conversation is driven by people who benefited from public education, and that on Tuesday, they will cast their vote in favor of a referendum that will continue to sustain the high quality of education we enjoy in this community and the high quality of the community itself. There is no more American institution than public education. So on that note, I want to bid everyone a good night. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you in 2 weeks.